If you're South African, you tuned in. You're tuned into Vancouver. That's in Canada, for those who don't know it. Blitzbox, that's sevens for those who don't know. Philip Snowman, he's the coach, was a great sevens player. He has certainly turned around the sevens team. They were the world champions. Well, they are the world champions, but that was courtesy of winning that finale. But this season, they've shown incredible consistency. He was up for one of the Coaches of the Year. We know that Rassie with the Springboks, he took that award at the SARugbymag Awards last week. But a big one for them in Vancouver. They knocked over New Zealand when they had to. They knocked over Australia in the semi-finals. And then those surprise boys, Spain, who they'd beaten in the early game. They beat them in the first game, I think. Well, it's Great Britain and then them. And then they went back and they beat them 38-12 in the final. And it sets up a finale. It's Fiji and the Blitzbox, top of the table, Zels. Points difference, plus 201 for Fiji, plus 199 for the Blitzbox. And I know we don't always give sevens the kind of exposure that many say it deserves, but we always give a winning South African exposure. And the minute someone, because we only back stallions, not
we only
donkeys.
back winners.
We only back winners.
Yeah.
If we're talking about you on the show, it's because you're a winner.
Mate.
And if we've not mentioned you, it's because you want donkey, okay?
None of that's true, but
None of that's true, mate. So that's why we don't speak about EP. The Jumbos. No. We only speak about winners, and the Blitzbox are winners. Talk me through it. I know you were up late watching those
Mate,
games.
I do love the Blitzbox. As much as maybe those aren't the very best players in the country, they are among the best sevens guys we've got. I love the heart of those guys. I know the work they put in conditioning. It's on another level. You can't even imagine what those guys do. Love the skill set. And I love underdogs. You got Ronnie Brown out there. The oak is 42 kilograms, punching way above his weight, leaving people for dead. Just speed, skill. I love that team. Ryan Oosthuizen is a personal favorite. Old Grobbelaar, he got injured during the tournament, but really great team to watch. And they've got their own little legacy, right? Their own tradition. You think back to the days of Cecil Africa's, Wandile Stick, Fabian Juries. You know, there's been some great
Sinatla.
Ciabello, Supersonic, Sinatla, exactly. So some great guys have come through there. Lots of actually great guys have come through there. You think about Cornel Hendricks as well. But yeah, just great to see what they did on the weekend. The way they beat Spain, like you say, twice. Spain are no laughing matter in the sevens scene. Punch way above their weight as well. And they put them to the sword emphatically in that final. Complete control. And it was outstanding. So kudos to them. Let's hope they can overcome the deficit and win the whole thing.
And talking about great sevens players, Carl Brown, I think he went to Sax here. So can find a Sax boy anywhere.
Shocker, mate.
Anywhere. And he was one of the great sevens players, Carl Brown. If you go into that Sax training facility, you'll see a big post of him, even bigger than the one they got up of Monty, who won the World Cup in 2007. Okay. First Bok Test Centurion. I said to Monty,
you're ticking all the boxes.
I don't know, mate. How come your picture's smaller than Carl Brown's? He said Carl Brown's modern and he's sevens. But a great win for the Blitzbox.
Yes,
It sets it up in the United States of America. It is Fiji, South Africa. They're the only two who can win it, and they have consistently been the best. And what I like about this one is it's kind of like this is where your measurement is over 5-6 tournaments, as opposed to going and doing that super series one-off and then claiming yourself to be world champions. I think they will take heart that they arrived this season as world champions and have justified that tag. So keep on following the Blitzbox, and we'll keep you updated, and go to SA Rugby Magazine. All the reports are there from the weekend if you want to catch up on scorers, etc. When we look at Saffers abroad, one of our favorite topics, you are now our Japanese correspondent, correspondent to others. Who was rocking and who wasn't? I know it was kind of a limited League One.
Yes, there was only one League One match. It was Mitsubishi Dynaboars. They played Suntory Sun Goliath. Lucanio the great, scored a second half try as Mitsubishi won 34-15. A couple of other South Africans in the mix there. And then I think it was Division 2 or whatever the equivalent is in Japan. Moni Lebok was at 10 for a 30-22 loss to Kamaishi Sea Waves in Iwate. whoever
say
that
that
is.
again?
No. And Burger Odendahl featured for the Liners as well. So that's a South African presence in Japan. Marnie Lebok still doing his thing, and Lukhanyo Arm getting across the try line.
And a big South African present in Japan is Malcolm Marx, World Rugby Player of the Year, and he was named the South African Rugby Player of the Year. It's the second time he's won that. We were at those awards. We were looking very, very cool. Zels especially in his penguin suit. I came with a more traditional, no dicky bow and a tie.
Pulp Fiction-ish,
okay. And yeah, it's a long, long evening, 4.5 hours. We sat through it. Lots of awards given. But Malcolm Marx, he got the one, and Ethan Hooker got the breakthrough player, which I know Zals and I enjoyed because the way they structure that Young Player of the Year, it's under 23. Kane Moody's been nominated 5 times and won it twice. And kind of for me, it should also always just be the breakthrough player of the year in terms of Test rugby.
Yeah.
And Ethan, Sasha won it the year before that. He was nominated again. And obviously, Ethan Hooker, one of our favorites, a Sharks boy that we love.
He's a hybrid apparently, mate.
He's a hybrid, can play anywhere.
Can play anywhere.
Both wings, both centres, and we're going to stick him in the forward.
Across the back row.
Yeah, and he's only 22. So he could be nominated again next year.
Probably will be.
Yeah, so shout out to Malky Marks.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful achievement. And, Sasha, very much in the mix there. It's just unfortunate for him that the World Player of the Year was also in the mix. It would have been a bit hard not to give the World Player of the Year the SA Player of the Year. So they got it all right this year. Rassie was Coach of the Year, and Malcolm Marx Player of the Year, and the Springboks were the Team of the Year. No disrespect to the under-20s who won the World Championship or the Sevens, but when you look at the Boks, 11 from 13, defended the Rugby Championship,
no brainer,
went overseas,
yep,
beat Ireland away from home, beat France away from home, and talking about France, Six Nations, everyone I bumped into yesterday, I was out at Durnville Hills, having lunch, my good mate, Craig, Clutie, and Carol, their oldest daughter, Emma and Vanna, congratulations. They're engaged. They back to KZN as well. They live there now. So it was a lovely afternoon with them. And Jack Clutie, Cameron Honeycomb, that era, those boys, the Forgotten Matrix, he was there as well, looking good. So it was a lovely afternoon. And I bumped into a few people who are on holiday from overseas, and they love you, Zels. They love the show. But they kept on saying, I can't wait till Monday to hear what you're going to say about France. So, France.
Oh, mate, so I picked France to win this game. And I said I thought it would be closer than the bookies gave it, but I had no doubt in my mind that France were going to win this game. I've said it a few times. I think Scotland are pretty plastic. Well, they blew that out of the water at the weekend, played some absolutely fantastic rugby. It helped that France decided to turn up for the game at the start of the second half. But Scotland were absolutely electric, dominated them, made them look very average. Antoine Dupont has been pulled down a few rungs in the hierarchy of the world's best players, I would imagine, after that game. And very interesting to see how he performs behind a pack that isn't in total control. But yeah, France just were not at the races at the start, and Scotland took full advantage and scored some electric tries.
When you look at Antoine Dupont, I mean, have you ever seen an intercept pass thrown with such precision?
Mate.
To Kyle Steyn.
What was that? That was like Sunday touch.
It was magnificent.
Yeah. And
that to me was the key in the game. That went to 26-14. So for those who may not have watched the game,
yeah,
Scotland scores early 7-0. France responds with 2 quick-fire tries. Louis Biobarry, our favorite, 9th successive Six Nations match that he scores a try. Outstanding. 14-7, 25 minutes. You think, you know what? This will be a 40-25 kind of game. Mm-hmm. I'm on the bicycle, did an hour. So it was a lovely hour to be on the bicycle at the gym watching this game. Sound down, just my heavy breathing, okay? And to kind of see a Scotland team take it up and a French team fall apart in very much the same fashion New Zealand fell apart against us at Wellington. And in that period, 20 minutes before halftime and 20 minutes after halftime, Scotland scored 40 unanswered points and looked like they scored 60. It's as if France had forgotten how to defend, how to play, and all confidence went. And it started with that intercept that took it 2 scores out, and then they started playing like those erratic, ill-disciplined, old French teams that everyone felt they have to now create their own sort of magic. And Scotland, to their credit, composed. Finn Russell was outstanding at 10. The halfback combination was outstanding. I mean, Carl Steyn was just brilliant on the wing. His work rate with the ball, off the ball, Blair Keenan, and obviously the pack was doing the grind and upsetting France immeasurably in the lineouts, at the breakdown. And you just look and you realize why France has never won a World Cup in the professional era in 8 attempts, and that it just takes one poor 40 minutes and you're out of a World Cup. So there's never a guarantee you can win a World Cup final. And emphasizes and reinforces for Zell how brilliantly South Africa have done to win 4, New Zealand to win 3, but South Africa to dominate 2019, 2023, and consistently be the best team pre that and post that. When you see France, we've been raving about them. They couldn't put together a 4th successive game. First tough game on the road, and they fall apart.
No, 100%. I mean, all your points, obviously, 100% valid there. I think it's interesting to note that Scotland outkicked France in this game. That's the common denominator. And it seems like rugby is on that treadmill, that sort of catch-22 circular process where teams are desperate, they can't win, they say, we'll do whatever it takes. The coach arrives, says, we're going to kick the ball, we're going to defend it, we're going to play off turnovers and score fantastic tries. They do that, they're successful, then they get bored of it and say, maybe we could just run the ball, we don't need to kick it so much, we're great. They start doing that, they lose, eventually that cycle gets them straight back to square one where they started. It's a common theme in the Six Nations week to week. We spoke about it with England and with Scotland earlier in the campaign. And in this case, again, Scotland up on the kick meters, up on the kicks per for the game, kick volume, and France lagging behind. And if you think about France and their whole resurrection, under Fabien Galtier, it's Antoine Dupont, massive long boot, Floxilier's in the mix. He was there again on the weekend. A dedication to controlling the field and then backing your heavies to do the damage up front so your backs can score tries. And I think that just seems to be a recurring thing in rugby where teams realize it, discover it, and then forget it and go back to the beginning. So I think that was definitely part of the reason. But yeah, definitely your points there about the Springboks 100% are valid. Our ability to keep ourselves on the straight and narrow generally is behind the consistency that we found in recent years.
If you, and we were texting while I was on the bike and you were kind of crunching your numbers in preparation for the Stormers against the Bulls, Gav Rich was also chatting to me periodically. And it was like when France went behind 21-14, both of you texted me and said, interesting, let's see how they respond to this. Not whether they're going to win or not, but how they respond to their game management. And they didn't. They completely fell apart. And it's the first time in the competition they've been put under any sort of pressure. And we've always known that France away from home is not the animal that they are at home.
Yeah.
In Paris or in Marseille. They were put through the ringer by Italy, 19-11 with 10 minutes to go. And then their flamboyance came through. I think Italy only had 70 minutes in that tank. And they scored 21 points in the last 10 minutes. It was like, comfortable win. How can you critique a 38-11 win? Now people 50-40. I've had people say, only France could come back. That game was gone at 47-14. That game was gone, and the worst thing that could have happened to France was to get to 40. Because some of them may actually believe they weren't that bad that day.
Correct.
But what is it? It's the French mentality. Because if you take the way they started against Ireland in the Six Nations in that first 30, the physicality, the intent, the tempo, they just weren't at the races on Saturday. And interesting enough, it's the first time I've seen Fabien Galtier basically sparring with an opposition coach before the game. The change rooms were too small. They don't know about this. It's as if, and Scotland's always been a team that's troubled them. Got some good wins against them. They've never put Scotland away by a big one. And it's as if Scotland knows how they play and what they've got to do back. And I just found that Scotland, especially for that first 70, probably the most controlled, disciplined performance I've seen from Scotland in a long, long time, given the caliber of the opposition.
Yeah. So I think Scotland are, especially in recent history, traditionally an attack-minded side. I mean, that's Gregor's calling card. They want to be able to attack. And that's a bit like the Lions. Historically, the Lions have been the attacking team. And I think when teams go there and they take that challenge, like, oh, well, we will out-attack you, then the Lions and Scotland are very dangerous, right? It's when you just treat those teams as though they are world contenders, and you play the percentages and you treat them with that respect, then their floor lines start to show. But if you bring them into the game by playing their game, they can outrun you, and they've got sharp teeth. So I think France were guilty of that, maybe overlooking Scotland a little bit. Yeah, I mean, some of the management there was not good. The game management was not good, and defensively there were holes in that French line. And then at scrum time, Scotland got the upper hand. So, I mean, that's massive kudos to them. The set piece is the basis of just about everything. And they did a great job on the day. So for Scotland, the challenge is to back it up, is to not be satisfied with the rare victory against France, but to actually push through now, finish strong, and try win this thing.
And it's an interesting, look, it's one of the great weekends of Six Nations that just went past.
Agreed.
And to set up this finale coming this weekend, England, the Ross Beefs in Paris against France. I have no doubt France will bounce back. England in total disarray. We'll get to them a little bit later. But Scotland now go to Dublin to play Ireland. Ireland, who are winning, they've won 3 out of 4, but they could well have lost to Wales.
Very much so.
And they could well have lost to Italy at home. They were brilliant in destroying an England side that now looks very feeble. And they got clobbered in Paris. Scotland, outside of that opening defeat against Italy, played in diabolical conditions in Rome.
Yeah.
Have certainly been outstanding at home against England and against France, but just survived a 75th minute try, which was very debatable as well in terms of its legitimacy, to beat Wales. But they haven't beaten Ireland in 11 matches. It's 11 successive defeats against Ireland, and it's in Dublin. We're going to chat later in the week about those games. So how France responds is going to be the key, because every team's allowed a poor 40. We saw our 40 against Australia at Ellis Park. But it does put into context for the South Africans this, wait till we play France and we'll see how good we are. We are the best in the world. We are number one, and we haven't been it for we've been it for 3 years. That's not being arrogant.
Facts.
That's not being an arsehole. That is actually just the facts. And it's cool to be that, because we've been number 7 in the world as well.
Correct.
And that wasn't so cool.
Yeah.
And it's great to be number 1. It's great to have won back-to-back rugby championships and back-to-back World Cups.
Yeah.
And it's cool to feel good about it. So the measurement is, let's see how good France are when they play us. Not let's see how good we are when we play France. Let's see how good England is when they play us, not how good we are. We are there. We are the standard bearers. And we've just got to maintain that standard and obviously look to improve.
Yeah.
But it puts into context just what we've done in terms of the Springboks, what Rassie has done and Sia has done, as opposed to the one-off victories that the other teams get, or the back-to-back wins. And it's like, they're the best in the world now. They just forget there's a team called South Africa that has dominated everyone and everything. Yeah. And I thought that French defeat, again, contextualizes the love affair that everyone has with France and the kind of second guessing that they always have with the Springboks among South African supporters.
Yeah, look, I think that is part of our DNA. We want to be the underdogs written off. We are very uncomfortable with the favorites tags. We've spoken about this before. South Africans inherently want to be told they can't do something. That is a surefire way to get a South African to do something. And I think it's uncomfortable for us. You know, we don't really know how to wear this thing, because we all think we're being windgat if we say we're the best team in the world, but we are the best team in the world. And so I think maybe that penny only really drops when you drop to 7th in the world and you realize, hang on a minute, this is actually worse than just being a little bit windgat and saying, you know what, the Boks are the best. We're the top team in the world, and it's your job to come and beat us. So it is a weird thing. I think it is the secret to our success, though. And I think I've said this before as well. If World Rugby and everybody else in World Rugby wanted to get rid of the Springboks or make them a lesser team, the best way to do it would be to shower us in praise. Say how amazing we are and tell referees to blow for us, because we wouldn't know what to do with that. We've never been in that position.
Well, our players would know, neither would our supporters.
Yeah. Correct.
It's like, how do we not complain about the referee at the end of the game?
Exactly.
Even when we win by 50, we complain about him, man. It should have been 60. But if you look at the great teams in World Rugby, any generation, any era, they're defined by one thing, their away record.
Yep.
So you take the All Black side, 2011 to 2015. They won 90% of their matches away from home, and they won 100% at home, that All Black side. Lucky bounce, okay? That's exactly where Rassie has taken this Springbok side post-2023. If you look at their 2024 and 25 season. Now, we get on the road. We go to New Zealand and we beat their best. And we take our best.
Yep.
We go to Australia and we beat their best. We go to Argentina, we beat their best. We go to Ireland, we go to Paris, we go to Cardiff, and we go to Murrayfield, and we beat their best with our best, and we do it consistently. And a very interesting stat, because I love France, okay? It's like
The place or the team?
the place and the team. This romance about France and the French way, because I remember their one-off hits. I was there, 1999 at Twickenham. Dominici, Richard Duarte, Loma scored the 2 great tries, and then they came back and they were just magnificent in scoring 34 unanswered points in that second half. I watched from the Port in Marseille as they beat the All Blacks in the 2007 World Cup quarterfinal with Gavrich standing next to me on the big screen, 30,000 nutters, Frenchmen going mad in the Port of Marseille, only for them to get blown away the next weekend. Only for them to kind of lose the next weekend whenever they've had a big game, okay? Yep. They went to the final, played Australia, and they got completely destroyed in 99. So they remember for their one-off hits. We remembered when we had our peak for our one-off defeats, as New Zealand was. It's a crime then to be successful. So I went down that beautiful rabbit hole of statistics over the weekend. France, since 1996, against South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, have won 4 out of 45 games. That's 8.8%. I'm going to round it off. They have a 9% winning record in 30 years. And that's why they will never win a World Cup away from home. Fair. Revisit this one at the end of 2027.
Yep.
Everyone raves about France. They don't have the capacity to put together 3 big games away from home. They couldn't put together 3 big games at home because the greatest team in the last decade, the Springboks, beat them 29-28 in a quarterfinal in 2023. The flip side of that, they've hosted the same 3 countries 40 times since 1996. They've won 17. That's a 42% return. In Paris and Marseille, they win less than 50% of their games against those 3. Why is France always seen as these wonder kids of world rugby, and they've never won a World Cup final? And since the game went professional, they've made one. 2011, they lost it. They've had some of the biggest losses in World Cup history away from home. And they never send their best players down to the Southern Hemisphere. And that could be the reason why. Can you really take them seriously as World Cup contenders? They're always going to be potent in Paris or Marseille. Your thoughts?
No, so my thoughts are, I mean, what sprang to mind while you were talking about that is you would probably struggle to find a Springbok player, whether he's making his debut or he's played 100 tests. Well, obviously he's played 100 tests, but you'd struggle to find a Springbok player who hasn't been out of the country. But you could quite easily find a Frenchman who's never been on a sort of transcontinental flight, because they play in the top 14 and then they play for France. And the only time that they're not in France playing rugby, I suppose, is maybe Champions Cup. And then if there's an away series, if France tours New Zealand, there's a series down under against Australia. So the exposure to travel is way less than ours in the modern era, and that's what potentially was the real value of Super Rugby and is the real value of the United Rugby Championship, is our teams are very, very accustomed to traveling. And I think part of the logistical challenge that maybe these French sides face is not so prevalent with us. So that record is incredible. If off the top of your head, you wouldn't think, especially at home, that they are sub 50%. But I think that just talks to the superiority of the Southern Hemisphere Giants. And again, that potentially also links up with how the Southern Hemisphere clubs have come up playing transcontinental rugby at club level. So when they have to get on a plane for their country, it's no big deal. In fact, they've been to the hotel they're going to.
So you just got to contextualize again. We enjoy winning, but then we get fearful that we've won, and it's always a caution. But can we beat Ireland again? How good are the French? The French have beaten us once in the last 9 times. It doesn't negate the fact that it's a tough match, but we are the winners there, and we need to keep on backing ourselves. And so if you look at the lay of the land realistically, you're saying South Africa and New Zealand have to be the favorites going to the 2027 World Cup, and Australia is going to be a threat because they're the host. But you look at all those Six Nations teams, Italy will be a tough game, but they're not going to win it. England, who knows where they will be. Ireland, we feel on the way down. Scotland will always flatter to deceive because they don't back up games. And France will go there as one of the favorites, and people will say, I can't believe they lost, but they never win. They never win when it matters.
Yeah, it's true. And no matter how they try and jig the World Cup draw to like get the right teams to the right side, it doesn't play out that way. Those Northern Hemisphere sides don't have it in the World Cup knockout situation, and I think there are multiple reasons for that, but it's there in the numbers.
But I had to enjoy the contrast in terms of the reporting post the game, and I did this little I used chat, and I kind of use Google, and I go and kind of scout who said what, and I put it up on the site on the Keo blog, and it was the magic of Murrayfield, the masterclass of Murrayfield. That was in Scotland, and it was the madness of Murrayfield was the French. I like that as well. So the madness. So France, we'll park for now. We'll chat about them later. Can they bounce back against the Ross Beefs? They win that. They win the. They've got the advantage on points differential. They get the 5 points, and Scotland say got the 5 points. It's going to be a victory for France. They don't get the Grand Slam, but they get the Six Nations title. I think there's about 19 titles you can play for there. Okay, and then Scotland can win it if England knock over France and they knock over Ireland, and Ireland can win it if England knock over France and Ireland wins it. So it's a 3-horse race going to the. We'll chat about that later in the week when we also preview the big one in Loftus, which is the Stormers visiting the Bulls. But if you look at the other game, and that's the one touching on all your history and your heritage, you're Italian, eh?
Of course.
Eh?
See,
you don't just look Italian, eh?
Cappuccino.
Zels Danello. Okay.
Listen, let me give you some insight, mate. Yeah. One Devolt Duvenago, who is, I think, 37% Italian by now, informed me. I offered him a coffee at the HPC the other day. It was about 11:30, and he looked at me with disdain, mate. He said, real Italians, when it comes to coffee, you don't drink coffee after 10 a.m. Doesn't happen. It's a morning thing. You do it in the morning. You don't drink coffee after that time. So just a heads up to you, mate. Every time you drink it after 10, you're basically standing on a few Italian toes. After the Italy-England game, I messaged Divis. I said, do you think maybe Mauro Itoje had a cappuccino at midday? So who knows, mate?
But you also drink coffee there. You don't drink cappuccinos.
True that.
It's basically a milkshake.
Indeed.
Okay, but Divis must have been euphoric.
He was happy, mate.
Yeah.
I almost saw him smile.
Yeah, I had a little text exchange with Nick Mallard. He was euphoric. I mean, Nick Mallard, one of the pioneers of what he was working with. He got a famous win against France.
That's right.
But I mean, he wasn't working with what's there today in terms of the development.
The pack was good, just the back.
Yeah, like he said he had to try Marco Bergamasco, the winner, at scrum off against England because there were none left in Italy. There wasn't a guy who could play scrum off back in the day. Which brings me to the concept of hybrids. And Steco, been our most faithful, loyal supporter from day one, when they said, okay, we like to talk a lot about Rago. Thanks to Mike Sharman, Cares, Shami's Corner, Retroviral, who also are linked to Steco, Ryobi Steco, the Stevens family. And they support us. They've supported us for the best part of 2 years. And we always do the power play, the Steco moment. We've taken it up another notch because they have, and this is why.
Hybrid tools for a hybrid craftsman. With 40 years of Ryobi credibility, Steco, shaping the future.
So, Zels, this week later, I think it's Wednesday, they officially announced Andre the Giant Esterhazy is going to be the Steco hybrid power tools hero. He's the hybrid craftsman. The guy who can play flank, the guy who can play centre, and the guy who just kind of knows how to take apart an opposition and put it back together again for himself and for his team. And chatting to Richard Stevens, who heads up the marketing, he's the son, Dad John, he's obviously Rugby Africa and Steco CEO, and he says for them, they felt that Steco and Andre Esterhazy, with especially promoting their hybrid component of all their product, was the perfect fit. So from now on, we're not going to have a Steco Power Play of the Week. We're going to have a Steco Hybrid Power Tools Hero. And if you were in Rome on Saturday, mate, there's only one winner.
Correct, mate. Tommaso Menoncello. What an absolute unit, mate. He's got a full toolbox when it comes to rugby, both sides of the ball, every facet of the game, except for maybe the scrum and line out. This guy is incredible. He is legit. Like, in the space of world rugby, you start talking about the best players at different positions. You got to mention Tommaso. He's been outstanding for Italy and just goes non-stop work effort, work rate, the quality of his work. Like, he's involved in everything. And he was massively instrumental for Italy at the weekend. What a player. Benetton, stalwart and absolute world-class talent on the Italian squad.
People forget he's only 23. He's leaving Benetton. He's going to Toulouse. What a move for him.
Wow.
He turned down more money. Toulon offered him more money. But it shows not only does he have a rugby IQ, he's got a brain. Because he's gone to a club that's going to improve his rugby.
Yeah.
He's already at a great level, but it's going to improve it. And he's going to a team that wins 90% of their games. Benetton, as much as we enjoy them, they don't win 90% of their games. So he's kind of always under the cosh at club level and at test level.
Yep.
And he's going to play with some of the best players in club rugby in the world and some of the best players in terms of backs internationally when you look at that Toulouse backline. But he was outstanding. The line that he ran to score, to make it 10-5 was just the Red Sea parted, the heavens opened, and he was through and he showed great pace. 10-5, and you got this hint, it could happen. And then they had the advantage on 39 minutes, a scrum feed, and they tried to play, turned over the ball, and 2 minutes later, cross kick from Finn Russell, England scores. And at that stage, I thought, typical of this Italian side, that big clutch moment, they lost their composure. And then England went 18-10. I was like, okay, this is going to be a 25-15 heroic Italian defeat. And then it all turned.
Yeah, the cross kick was from Garbisi, not Finn Russell, because it wasn't Scotland, it was Italy. But it doesn't matter, I know what you mean.
I know Finn Russell, Finn Smith.
Yes.
I'm talking Finn Smith for the England.
Okay.
Finn Smith for the England try.
Yeah, so
to take it to 10 or just before half time.
Okay, I mean, fabulous. His involvement in the try at the end there, at the death, the try assist. I just thought Italy were outstanding across the board. Again, I'm going to bring it up again. Italy dominant in the kicking game, outkicked England. And I thought they were ferocious. Every single thing that you could contest, they were involved in it. They did fabulously under the high ball. It was a huge duel in the air that they came out on top. And I thought England seemed to be a team with some serious issues. Borthwick's got the sort of nod, the approval, the backing from the suits upstairs. But I think it's time for Borthwick to make some big calls on the leadership in that group. Some of the errors, some of the penalties that were conceded by some of the most veteran, experienced players there casts a bad light over this particular leadership group. And I think, the more I think about it, like, Pollock should be front and center of this team. As much as he's young and he's raw and he's reckless and dangerous, that's exactly what England needs to be. England doesn't need to be measured and sort of politically correct. They need to come out and they need to be forceful and assertive and dangerous. And I think Pollock represents that. And kind of by chucking him on the bench and staying with the old guard, not because they're not good players, but I think they've got a particular way of doing things that doesn't necessarily mesh with the next-gen England player. And I think Borthwick has backed the likes of Jamie George, Murray, Toje, these guys. And maybe it's time that he moved on from them, because like I say, these guys need to come out and throw a few punches. I think they're a little bit circumspect and they may be a little bit too comfortable, England.
Well, it's not the England way to make changes now. He made 9 changes, the most ever in the history of the 5 nations / 6 nations from one week to the next, and he came unstuck. They look like a team also hadn't played together.
Yes.
But then you get a guy, one of their great servants, Mare Toji, a howler, slapping down the ball out of the nine's hand, yellow card at the most critical time of the game. And I think that's where I saw the growth of this Italian side, because they haven't had the capacity to play out moments like that. And we saw that in earlier this campaign in Dublin, where they should have closed out Ireland at stages and they didn't.
Yep.
They were so disciplined. Like you say, the cross kick, Monty Ione, fantastic catch, composure, step, offload, and then Manicello just decided, I'm going over you to Elliot Daly.
Yeah.
But didn't go for the glory.
Correct.
And there were 2 runners on his inside that he could have passed to. And they scored, kicked it, and then they kicked those 2 penalties early on as well, just to get them back into the game. And the only time they went for the line-out drive was when they were playing 15 against 13. So it made sense. And they cocked that up as well. You know, they've got the best competing and one of the worst on their own ball. It's an interest in their line-out. But I just felt the composure they showed in those frantic minutes and the attitude. And then I saw that clip of Sam Underhill when the ref said, get off. And he said, you're not the medic, you're the ref. I'm listening to the medics. That arrogance from England. And you want to know why you got under the referee's kind of like skin.
Yeah, totally.
Is all the calls were for Borthwick to go. But I don't think he's going to go. I don't think they've got the capacity to actually want to let him go. And that's great for us, because I did see a stat. We beat them 42-6 when Peter de Villiers was still the coach. And he was the captain of England. They've lost for the first time in their history to Fiji in the 2023 World Cup year. He was the coach. They've lost for the first time to Italy. He is the coach. Now, everyone loves what Steve Borthwick represents. Stoic, solid little citizen, man from Leicester, the Leicester Tigers. But he's not what they need to actually advance it. These guys were gloating after they beat an indifferent All Black side. Bring on the Box next weekend. We want to test ourselves and show that we're the best in the world. They are now down to 6th in the world. Their only victory is against a Welsh team that is not beaten anyone for the best part of 3 seasons.
Well, mate, I went from tipping England to win the 6 Nations to tipping Italy to beat them at the weekend. That's how fast and far they've fallen. And a lot needs to change. I think exactly what you said about Borthwick is exactly the problem with England. They want to be world champions in rugby, but without breaking any eggs, and I think that's impossible. So definitely they need to change of mindset.
All right, but the English media, they treated Rome and England's first ever defeat to Italy as a national embarrassment. The Italian rugby media treated it as a coming of age. And I love this. In England, the theme was blame. In Italy, the theme was belief.
Oh, beautiful.
So, and Italy will believe, because who do they play this weekend? Wales.
Sure.
And they will back themselves as gutsy as Wales have been against Ireland, as gutsy as they were against Scotland. Italy will go there for the first time thinking we are actually the favourites, and rightly so. Your mate,
Gonzalo Quesada,
the Argentinian, what has he done different that no one else has got right with Italy?
Absolute basics, mate. And back to the point where you play and you perform, or you don't play for the team. So I think Quesada, what's great about Gonzo is he's got a clear vision about how he wants to play. He's made an effort to get around the world, to get some ideas from other teams that are successful in various facets of the game. And I think that clarity translates to the team. So this plan might not be the most complicated, and it might not be the most... the players might not have the most latitude, but they can play fast because there's absolute clarity around what their jobs are, what their roles are, where they have to be. And right now, Italy are just hungry for respect. So they're in the perfect... They're basically like when Rassie took over the Box. They just want to be... They're a year or two removed from people saying they shouldn't be in the Six Nations. You know, that Georgia should be there. So, I think they're a team that's desperate to perform and to get these kind of results. And the key for Gonzo is to take the next step, but also to keep the team in this space, not to allow them to ever get to this place where winning almost becomes a secondary objective.
And talking about Rassie, pre the Six Nations, a couple of people kind of had a wry smile when he said, look, France have to be the favourites, but watch out for Italy. They're a very good team. One of the tougher teams the Box played last year. And we played them 3 times. Loftus, they kind of did some damage to us. We were brilliant when we beat them at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, 45-0. And then a tough one. We beat them on turn. We had to beat them with 14 players. But for that first 50 minutes, we were really scrapping to kind of get the result. The All Blacks 29-11 scrapped to get the result there. Australia, we know, lost there. So they've knocked over some big teams, eh? And they've also proven they can play away from home.
But yeah, they've also proven that they're a team that you're never going to just sort of ragdoll. They're always going to put up a fight. You might win the fight, but they're going to land some punches, and that makes them a dangerous team.
Which brings me to one of your favorite coaches as we go into the tail end of today's conversation. It's the punching, it's the niggle,
yes,
it's the respect.
Yes.
New Zealand have stumbled on something, and the greatest tour this coming year, rugby's greatest rivalry. 4 test matches, 3 in South Africa against the All Blacks for the Springboks, 1 in Baltimore, USA. I had that down as 4-0 when Razor Robertson was there. All of a sudden, I'm saying, hang on a second. It's going to be rugby's greatest rivalry.
Yep.
They have got the right guy in place. And when Rassie Erasmus took over for the Box, his biggest thing was we have to beat New Zealand in New Zealand. That was all they wanted in 2018. They won 7 out of 14 that year. They won 36-34. They relied on Bowden Barrett to hit the post to draw it at 36-all, but they got the win. They lost to Australia the week before that in Brisbane. And he was like, I know how to beat New Zealand teams. And he's proven that consistently since, because he did it when he was director of rugby at the Stormers, and they won 5 out of 5 against New Zealand teams. No one's ever done that. Dave Rennie. 3 out of 4 wins against the Springboks while he was the Wallaby coach, 2020 to 2022, all in Australia. 1 out of 1 when he was the New Zealand under-20 coach against the Baby Box, 37-6 in a final on his 3rd year. But this is the one that tells me, put us on red alert. Chiefs coach 2012 to 2017, they won back-to-back titles, first time ever, 12 and 13. 24 matches against South African franchises. 18 wins, 2 draws, and 4 defeats. 8 matches in South Africa. 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. 2 playoff matches in South Africa. Newlands, 2016 and 2017, 60-21, 17-11. And that 60-21, Siya Kolisi, Eben Etzebeth, Frans Malherbe, Steven Kitsoff, and 2 or 3 others, 7 starting Boks at that stage in that team. And then beating the Sharks, obviously, in their first ever final, 37-6 in Hamilton, having beaten the Sharks and the Cheetahs on the road that year. That guy loves playing against South Africa. He understands the mentality, and I would much rather have had the Crusaders breakdancing Ken Razor Robinson bringing them here than Dave Rennie. Australia got it wrong when they bulleted him. New Zealand, not by design, by default, have stumbled on something.
Mate, I just hope that I'm alive long enough to go and visit your brain in that showcase at the SA Rugby headquarters, mate. There'll be electricity coming off it in that box, man. How you remember all those numbers, I have absolutely no idea. Well done. I hope they're all correct. That's insane. Mate, Dave Rennie, we've talked about it for a long time. He is the guy. They finally made a good decision at New Zealand Rugby headquarters. I'm not convinced that you're going to see New Zealand bounce back as quickly as this series. I think there'll be signs of life. But he's certainly the guy. And if you think for 1 second, and this alludes to your point about the Boks in 2018 with Rassie and winning in New Zealand, if you think for 1 second that this greatest rivalry tour is not going to be the launch pad for what the All Blacks do at the next World Cup, you're dreaming. That's exactly what's going to happen here. All of the fuel, all of the fire, all of the vitriol that comes out of this rivalry in this series, which I think all of us will be betting the Boks are going to win, is going to light a massive fire on New Zealand rugby. And it's going to be one that's fueled by Dave Rennie, and he's going to turn New Zealand around in the next 2 seasons. You're going to have a proper problem on your hands at the next World Cup. It's made world rugby a hell of a lot more interesting, and it's going to make winning the 2027 World Cup so much more fun and enjoyable.
And why everyone talks the 4 tests, 2027, because World Rugby, in their wonderful wisdom, has ensured that the number 1 and number 2 team in the world, if form means they go through their pool stages unbeaten, and they should. South Africa's toughest challenge will be Italy. New Zealand's toughest challenge will be Australia, and they should beat them. They will then meet in a quarterfinal.
Won't happen, mate.
Because of the last 16 and the way they've managed to put them on the same side, that they will meet in the quarterfinal, as they did in 2003 Melbourne when we lost 29-9. It's a very different scenario now, a very different situation. But that's why the emphasis and the focus on this appointment of Dave Rennie. And interestingly enough, New Zealand has appointed him till the end of the World Cup in 2027 to be reassessed then. He's doing a Kitch Christie. He's coming to do an ambulance job. Some people say, is he a caretaker? And I've said, no, he's coming as the undertaker.
Oh, mate,
and what he needs to bury is the Springboks.
That's exactly right, mate. That'll be the mission. That will be the mission. And if there's one guy capable of doing it, it's him. I also believe in Dave Rennie's ability to go find guys that we haven't spotted with one eye on New Zealand rugby. Maybe not heralded guys, but guys that he can throw in there that can do the job.
And Victor Matfield said it as well when you're speaking to Sir JK, John Kerwin.
Yeah.
And he said the key there. So JK said it's South Africa. It's the reason that Rennie's got the job. But he meant because Tony Brown stays there and Jamie Joseph doesn't get the job.
Yes.
I do think they've got that one right. But I do believe that his record against South African teams must have played a part in, can you beat the guys who are the current world champions? I think I can. I've done it with the Wallabies, and I know that psyche. I've had success against them. Been overseas for 9 years as well, in Glasgow, in Japan. He's been out of New Zealand, and he's the first to say Northern Hemisphere rugby is strong. All Blacks aren't the innovators anymore. There's so much to learn from there.
Yep.
So they do bring back someone who's very molded and very experienced. It's just up the ante for everything for me for this series. We know Rassie's always 3-4 steps ahead of the rest of the world, but Rassie needs a challenge. I think he's got one in Dave Rennie
Big
now.
time.
And I think it's 150 days till the Stormers play the All Blacks in the first game. Just to be at all those games, to have the All Blacks in this country for 2 months, but to have them coming here thinking they come in here as the All Blacks, not as a freakish, feeble representation of the All Blacks, is just great for our rugby.
Absolutely. No, it is brilliant. I don't think you're going to struggle to sell tickets to this series. And I'm so excited to be back to this touring, because I think this is what rugby has been missing for many, many years now. And I think there's big value in this kind of a tour. And it's going to be good for New Zealand rugby. Iron sharpens iron. It's good for us. I'm just keen to see who Rennie pulls out of the depths of New Zealand rugby and shocks us with some guy we've probably never heard of, seen him play 20 minutes, and he turns out to be the next superstar. I think also Rennie's come out immediately and said, Brodie Retallick, he'll bring Richie Mo'unga back. Right then and there, that team's already 30% better.
Yeah. And Shannon Frizzell plays. Aaron Smith can still play a role. Like you said, Brodie Retallick's my captain. If I can, I'll bring him back. He's playing as good a rugby as he's ever played. And don't dispute the quality of Japan. He's broken with mold as well. He said, I'm seeing out my contract. I'll be back in June to take the All Blacks in July against France in that opening game. And the media mainly like, why is the All Black coach not sitting in the stands? He said, I don't have to sit in the stands. I know the players I want. I know how they want to play. I'm not throwing the previous regime under the bus, but it's not the guys I would have picked. So that immediately, David Kirk, the chairman, said what was compelling about his interview was that he gave them a solution in how he wanted to play, who he felt he wanted. And the key now is who his assistant's going to be. And I do hear a whisper that King Carlos Spencer could be among the backs.
Oh, mate, that'd be glorious.
That would be glorious. So lots to talk about over the next few months in the build-up to rugby's greatest rivalry. We got that Six Nations, the finale, which then it turns out to be one of the great Six Nations tournaments in a long, long time. A 3-horse race going into it. But in this country, baby, there's only one game, and it's at Loftus. It's on Saturday. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. It's a schoolboy kickoff. I spoke to Clinton van den Berg, head of comms. 50,000, that's what they're aiming for. Anything less will be a disgrace. The Bulls are going for a 200th win, a 100th win. They've got 99 against any team, province / Stormers in all competitions. Stormers / province have 97 wins. So that's a good enough reason for the Stormers to win, to make it 99-98. So there's extra motivation there. We're going to be chatting in huge detail. Our show later this week will be dedicated to a proper preview.
Did you say dead?
Bulls at home against the Stormers. We'll be speaking to the data cruncher over there, the man who's been tasked with undermining the Bulls. And for that reason alone, I may have to put my Bulls hat on just for a little bit. Just a small hat. Are you up for it, mate?
Man, I didn't even know the game was this week. Really? No, I'm very excited for it, man. It's going to be fantastic. Anytime the Stormers are up at Loftus, what a glorious event. The history in this game, the rivalry, you think back to some of the guys that have played in this derby. Superb.
And think about Bulls, Stormers all week. Bulls at home. Stormers when they go to second on the table. Bulls when they climb. They climb the ladder. And the Stormers are then plunged into an England-type scenario. It would be 4 in a row. Something that we just can't contemplate in Cape Town at the moment. But it's going to be riveting. And what makes it even better, if you're going to be watching from home, is Nick Mallett informed me that he's actually at Loftus on Saturday, and he's on SuperSport to do the preview, to do the halftime, and to do the post-match analysis. I said to him, thank goodness there's no influencer for 15 minutes talking soccer and telling me they can't believe this is how a rugby field looks. So it's going to be great. And the coup de grace is I bent his arm, and Zels and myself will be boarding a flight on Saturday morning on the Gautrain to Loftus. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Back on a plane. Cape Town. If you see us in Cape Town Saturday evening, we will have been in Pretoria on Saturday afternoon.